robot. So I guess we'll go ahead and start out with the chassis here. We went with just your basic 2 wheels in front of the other 4-wheel. We didn't do any kind of X drive because while those are better for maneuverability, we found that this competition, this game is speed-based. Yes, more needing of speed. So this kind of drive is a lot better for speed, and we don't need to maneuver as much as we did last year. So that's why we chose that. And then next up, we went with the mobile goal intake, and Max can say more about that.
So our mobile goal intake, if we can just figure this out. We started out the year with a chain bar, okay, and that was good for a while. But we found that it wasn't able to carry as much weight, and as it was coming around, it went too high, and so the gravity had too much of an effect on it and brought it down too quickly. So recently, just the past competition, we switched to a 4-bar. So just motor back here that feeds into this motor for torque gear ratio, and that propels this C channel. And then we just have a C channel on top that connects to this one, so this motor drives both these 2 C channels, and then it just is able to come down where we can pick up a mobile goal, and we have this rubber band in, just add just enough friction so it doesn't just slide out as we're driving around, and then it just is able to slide back up. And it doesn't go too high. It just kind of goes up to where it needs to and then slides back, so that way gravity doesn't bring it down and cause the cones to fall off too quickly. And that is able to allow us to score multiple cones into any of the areas.
So then next up, we needed a way to pick up cones, because while earlier on in the year, mobile goals did seem to get you more points than cones, we realized we were going to need to get both if we had a chance of making it to state. So first thing we thought of was doing a double reverse 4-bar, which is what you see here. Now, the ingenious thing about this design is that it allows whatever you want off the very top of it to move up and down in a perfect linear motion without it swaying to the left or right at all, front and back. And that really helps when creating these towers of cones, because you don't want to have to worry about whether you're too far forward or too far back. So the design, we have a torque ratio here with the motors on the inside feeding into that smaller gear, and that allows this gear right here to spin, which causes this C channel to swing up, and because this gear is meshed with this one, it causes this C channel to spin in the opposite direction, which propels the second half, the top half of this lift upwards. And that's really helpful when trying to stack cones as high as 12 or 13 cones, which is what you need to win some of the more intense games. So we found that very helpful.
And then what we have here is our Goliath intake, which it comes back over here with a chain bar, and that part would go over. So from, like he was talking about, all this comes up to have this at the measurement. So what we have is we decided to do the chain bar just like our old mobile goal intake, because it just kind of works better staying in that motion, but still having the cone stay in the same spot. So once we have the mobile goal intake going up here, we just can take this backwards and have it drop down. And we decided to go with the rubber bands and a certain braid because it was much easier to pick up instead of having loose rubber bands and it falling off or knocking down too easily, and having it up high enough and this still staying up here if we still needed it to, we can get more cones if needed. And we did have sizing problems with this, but this way works easier because it comes outwards and then we still have enough room for our cones.
Any questions? You guys have any questions?
So what's this camera here for?
Oh, so towards the end of the season, we decided to stick on a little GoPro here. I guess it's an off-brand GoPro. But we just like to record some of our matches and then rewatch them afterwards from the robot's point of view. And that way, sometimes we get a closer view of what's going on from the backside of the mobile goal intake and the lift when it's down. So we get different perspectives of what's happening with our robot. And they don't make for bad YouTube videos.
It's kind of like watching a film after a football game. Just kind of see what we did wrong, what we can do about it, stuff like that.
Just just watch them
Watch
play
the
back.
instant replay.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So, any other questions?
So what are your guys' roles?
Okay.
I am mostly the design and builder, and so like we've obviously all inputted our design and what we thought would work best and kind of voted on it, but mostly it's I kind of put it together and test it out and see if it works with their input and help, of course. But
And I do the notebook. I make sure everything's intact, the organization, and kind of staying with the building as well.
And then I am the head programmer and the driver of the team. So I'm working on making sure that everything works as far as controls go all the time, changing them when I need to make sure that the controls are comfortable and it's easy to pick up cones and mobile goals and all these different functions at the same time because it gets hard to multitask. And as well as programming the autonomous, because that's a huge part of the game too, is getting that 10-point bonus. So.
Okay, cool. So if you guys could choose a different role, would you? And which role would you choose?
I don't think so. I can program. I've programmed before, but I'm not as comfortable with it or enjoy it quite as much. And I'm really not very organized. So I really enjoy the engineering side of this and the putting pieces together and like working with it with my own hands. So I don't think that would change.
I think I would want more of like design process sometimes, but I work so much better with organization and kind of helping out when they see because sometimes they don't see the problems that happen in it. I kind of put my input into it. So I don't think I'd really want to change mine as much.
I think with me, sometimes I guess I can be a bit of a stickler with organization myself, and I might have a different view from Ellie here, but last thing I want to do is argue with her. And I do enjoy programming. I have fun, typing up different functions on the computer and watching them come to life with the robot. So it's a fun part of the process.
Great job, guys. How'd you guys finish?
28th, we had some, our keys all of a sudden stopped connecting one to match, so we had some struggles with those. And
Problems that we need to fix. But
It's all right.
I am kind of thankful for the experience we've gotten.
Yeah.
Even if we do finish poorly, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That's what matters.
Yeah, and luckily Joseph's just a junior and we're sophomores, so we have one more good year together.
Yeah,
So
we're
Oh,
good.
yeah, you guys are good.
He has to teach us everything though.
Before I
Dragon programming.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Any last questions?
Good.
No? Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Great job.